Today we're going to be taking notes on customary measurement conversion. So this is the way we would convert in the customary system of measurement. You will need your journal to take notes on, and then you're also going to need your star chart. Okay, this should be glued into the back of your journal. If not, you need to ask Mr. Bell or Miss Hill for a new copy because you will need this the entire time we are doing customary measurement conversions. This is like a free cheat sheet. Okay, everything you need will be on this sheet and will help you solve all of your measurements. So we're going to start with an example problem of trying to figure out how many pounds are in 5 tons. Okay, so the way we're going to set up our problem is we're always going to start with what we're looking for, or with what we have, I'm sorry. So I'm going to start with 5 tons. And then next to that, in parentheses, I'm going to set up a fraction, and the information is going to come directly from my formula chart with the relationship of pounds to tons. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my parentheses, and we're going to write it in fractional form. Okay, and here's the big trick that we need to remember. Whatever we started with needs to be on the bottom. Okay, so this is going to be, the tons are going to be down here, and then pounds would be up top. And I'll explain why in a minute. But I'm going to go to my formula chart and I'm going to find weight and mass. And that is where it talks about pounds and tons. And so this information is coming directly from my formula chart. So there should be no error because you're literally copying it from one place to the other. So it tells me that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. So I'm going to come back over here and write that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. Okay, now that I have this information and I'm ending with pounds, which is what I'm looking for, I can go ahead and start solving. Okay, so what's going to happen is this ton is going to cancel with this one. Okay, so it's kind of like dividing. We're dividing this by this and it would be 1. And then I can multiply whatever's on top across. Okay, so 5 times 2,000 is going to be 10,000. And the only label I'm left with is the pounds. So I'm left with 10,000 pounds as my answer. Okay, we're going to do another one. So we're going to keep practicing. So I'm going to look for how many fluid ounces are in 8 cups. So again, start with what I have. I'm going to have 8 cups. I'm going to set up my fractional relationship here that's going to be between cups, which I'm putting on the bottom, and fluid ounces. Okay, then I'm going to go to my formula chart. I'm going to look up where it talks about cups and fluid ounces, and it tells me that there's 1 cup in 8 fluid, or I'm sorry, there's 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. So I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to say that there are 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. So again, my cups will cancel. I'm left with just fluid ounces, which is what I wanted for my problem. So I can go ahead and multiply across. 8 times 8 is 64. This would actually be on the bottom, a 1, and then 64 divided by 1 is just 64 fluid ounces. Okay, so now we need to look at something. So both of these have been going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Same with cups, larger unit to a smaller unit. So now we need to look at what happens when we go from a smaller unit to a larger unit. Okay, so we are going to take 504 inches and we want to know how many yards that would be. So inches is smaller than yards, so we're going from a smaller to a larger unit. Okay, now if I come to my formula chart, well, let's start with this. We need 504 inches. We're going to start with what we have. And I'm going to go to start setting up my fractional piece. And remember, whatever's in the parentheses comes directly from the formula chart. However, when I come here, I notice that inches doesn't go directly to yards. Okay, but inches does go to feet, and then feet goes to yards. So this is going to be a little bit more multi-step. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing inches to feet. And the information that came from my formula chart is that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, so again, as I've been saying earlier, like up here, when we got to what we needed for our answer, we were done. Well, now I can cross out my inches, but I'm left with feet. That's what my answer would be in. And I don't want my answer in feet. I want it in yards. So I'm going to need to set up another relationship. And now I'm going to be going from feet to yards. So feet was on the top here. It would need to be on the bottom so that it can cancel. And then yards would be on top. And on my formula chart, it tells me there are 3 feet in 1 yard. Okay, so the feet are going to cancel now. And I'm left with yards on top, which is what I wanted for my answer. All right, so now I've got a little bit of different situation because I have some numbers on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply across the top. So 504 times 1 is going to be 504. And then I'm going to multiply across the bottom. 12 times 3 is 36. So now what I have here is 504 divided by 36. That's going to equal 14, and it would be 14 yards. So there are 14 yards in 504 inches. So that one's a little bit more multi-step. It took a few different things to get to the final answer. Okay, we also had the division on the bottom, which was different. All right, going to do another one. At any point, guys, feel free to pause this video and try the problem on your own and then come back and check and see if you got it correct. So now we're going to do 1 ton is equal to how many ounces? Okay, so we're going to start with our ton. Here's my parentheses. And if it helps you, I like to do this, put this over 1. That way it's kind of makes everything in the fractional form so you don't confuse yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go to my formula chart, and tons does not go to ounces, but tons goes to pounds, and pounds goes to ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and go from tons to pounds, and then from pounds to ounces. So this is going to be tons to pounds, and it says that 1 ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. And then my ton will cancel, and I'm left with pounds, but I don't want to be left with pounds. I want to be left with ounces. So now I'm going to have to go from pounds to ounces. Going back to my formula chart, there are 16 ounces in a pound. So 16 ounces in 1 pound. Okay, my pounds would cancel, and I'm left with ounces, so I'm ready to go ahead and solve my problem. Again, multiplying across, 1 times 2,000 times 16 is going to be 32,000 ounces. And that's going to be over 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So my answer would just be 32,000 ounces. Make sure that you notice the difference on your formula chart between ounces dealing with weight and mass and fluid ounces dealing with volume and capacity. Okay, so fluid ounces is going to be the liquid version, ounces is going to be the weight. All right, let's do a couple more. So how many pounds would be in 480 ounces? Okay, so now I'm going back to one where it does on my formula chart go directly from pounds to ounces, so it's not going to be a multi-step. Starting with what I know, 480 ounces. And again, I like to put it over 1, just I feel like it makes it a little bit easier. I don't confuse myself. Okay, and then I need to have ounces down here, so pounds would need to be up here. 16 ounces is in 1 pound, so my ounces will cancel. So this is going to be 480 over 16, which is 480 divided by 16, and 480 divided by 16 is 30 pounds. Pounds. And it's really important, guys, now we're at this point in our unit that you need to be labeling every single answer. If you just answered this 30, I have no idea if you're talking about 30 ounces or 30 pounds or 30 feet or 30 inches, so you need to make sure that you are using your label every single time. All right, let's finish up with a multi-step one, just for fun, so we can see it. So this one we will do, I'm going to do on a blank sheet of paper. Okay, so we're going to say how many fluid ounces are in 4 quarts. Okay, so 4 quarts, and we're going to fluid ounces. Okay, so I'm going to start with what I know. So 4 quarts. And then my first parenthesis, I need to go look because I'm going all the way from quarts to fluid ounces. So I'm going to have to go from quarts to pints, and then from pints to cups, and then from cups to fluid ounces. Okay, so I'm going to start with quarts, and then this would be pints. And my formula chart tells me that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. Then I'm going to cancel my quarts, and I'm left with pints, but I want to go all the way to fluid ounces, so I need to keep going. So this is going to go from pints, needs to be on the bottom so they can cancel, and pints goes to cups, and there are 2 cups in 1 pint. So now my pints label will cancel. Still at cups, need to be at fluid ounces, so now I'm going to go from cups to fluid ounces, and there are 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. So my cups label will cancel. I'm left with fluid ounces, so now I know that I'm ready to go ahead and solve. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And then 16 times 8 is going to be 128. And then across the bottom it's 1. So my final answer will be 128 fluid ounces in 4 quarts. All right, so you're going to go ahead and complete a practice sheet. I definitely encourage you to use your notes, but the biggest thing is to make sure that you have your formula chart handy. You will need this for every type of customary conversion that you do. So keep it handy, use it, it's a free cheat sheet, and then follow your steps, and you should be able to solve customary measurement easily.